Marketing on Snapchat is a little unusual and it's centered around the story feature. The first thing you should know is what a story actually is, and this requires understanding a little bit of snapshot terminology if you haven't already learned it. A snap is a video or a picture that you send to a specific person. Although you certainly can advertise with snaps, they're only going to go to one person at a time and they disappear in no more than 10 seconds. This makes it almost unusable as a marketing tool, even if it were lucrative to send snaps to your existing friends list. Of course, it's not lucrative and that's the point, so we won't worry too much about snaps in this video. However, we are going to discuss stories. The difference between a story and a snap is that stories contain multiple images and video, and they stay available for viewing for 24 hours. The other difference is that while you can send snaps just to people on your friends list, or the rare person that is enabled everyone to send them snaps, your stories can be viewed by anyone you choose. You can set your account to allow anyone to view your stories. Since stories can be shared, they are also a great marketing strategy. So, how do you set your account so that everyone can view your stories? Well, this is something, as you may have guessed, that can be done in your settings menu. So, swipe down and when you get to the page where it allows you to see who's added you, click on the settings gear in the top right. Then go down to where you can change both who can send you snaps and who can view your stories. So, now you're ready to start sharing stories on Snapchat. You may not know how to build a story yet, but that's okay because we're going to cover that later in the video. Make sure that you let other social media networks know when you post a story because you'll have Snapchat users on those networks and they will log in and check out your story. If your story is geared towards some sort of product or service, then you definitely want as many people viewing it as possible, so don't just rely on Snapchat to get views. However, keep in mind to always be entertaining so that users will want to share your story with others and will come back for the next one. If you want to be successful in marketing on Snapchat, then you're going to need to get a following. Just like with your Twitter and Facebook followers, the more people that you have following you, the higher the chances that other people will follow you. This video will give you some tips on getting your first followers on Snapchat, as well as some things not to do to get followers. The first thing that you want to do is make sure that everything that you're posting is creative and fun and shows off your artistic expressions. Posting boring content with text that never changes over the same boring videos of products are going to get you exactly nowhere with Snapchat. But pictures of people using your product in unconventional ways, with your caption and emojis, now that's going to get people's interest and make them want to share your content. We discussed this earlier, but it might be useful to understand exactly how you should use your social networks to get Snapchat followers. The best way to do this is to come up with compelling things to post on your Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or whatever social network you're using. These are teaser items such as a promo code within a story that you can only get if you go to Snapchat. Place your Snap code or Snapchat information anywhere that you can. Post it on your website, around your store if you have one, and anywhere else that you can think of where people that you want to influence will be willing to join Snapchat or are already using it. You also put it on your business cards, put a link to it in your email, and even advertise on forums that are in your industry. Do you know a YouTuber or someone who has a large following online but isn't necessarily a Hollywood celebrity? Do you think there's someone who would be interested in your product or service? You might be able to leverage influencers by offering them something special that they will almost always talk about afterwards, and you can get followers from that. There are a few things that you shouldn't do to get followers on Snapchat. One of them is to use one of the services offered on websites like Fiverr that promise to get you thousands of followers. For one thing, they're not going to buy anything from you and may not even have real people behind them. Also, you might get your Snapchat account banned by doing so at some point in the future. You should also try not to be boring and make sure that you're accessible in some way, because users don't want a shadowy face in the background. They want a real live human being behind your company that they can interact with. You're going to use stories to do more than advertise your products or services. Think of a story like a viral video. You know, if you make it overly promotional, it's not going to work. You want something clever, something that no one has ever seen, and something that evokes emotion in a human being. This will make them want to share with their friends, and it will give you the exposure that you're looking for. But creating good stories will also make people want to follow you, so every time you create a story, keep in mind that you're both trying to get people to follow you and you're trying to get your product or service out there. If you want to know how to create a great Snapchat story, then go online and look at some of the best ones that have ever been made. There are lots of Snapchat stories that have been featured on websites like BuzzFeed, Mashable, or even some of the more conventional media out there. As you look through those Snapchat stories and laugh, try to think of ways in which you can incorporate a similar campaign on your own Snapchat account that will both be entertaining and promote your product or service a little. Stories can not only be told in photos, they can also include video. You can come up with a clever idea to pair the video and the snapshots if you like. There are lots of ways to create a good story, but it starts with a good idea. Sit down with employees or even your friends and try to come up with a Snapchat story that would be funny. Use anything for inspiration. Go to Google and search and type in a random word and look at the images that come up with that word. Look around your environment and see if there's anything there that amuses you. Think about the last thing that you found funny and why you liked it. There are lots of ways to come up with great ideas for stories. Sit down and storyboard your story, which means that you decide which order your snaps and videos are going to go in before you even take them in some cases. Then make sure that you have the right order and a compelling story that's going to keep people clicking the next button. Remember, just like with YouTube videos, you shouldn't go over a few minutes in length, otherwise people are going to get bored. Now you can get to work making great stories on Snapchat.